So hello and welcome to another installment of one fact about everything in Bully. Today we're going to be doing one fact about every single weapon in the game, so let's just get on to it. The slingshot has an unused HUD icon which is only located inside the cutscene model. This design of the slingshot icon is much more detailed than that in the final HUD, possibly implying that all the weapons in Bully were going to follow a more detailed design, for the HUD icons at least. The super slingshot you obtain from the Candida mission has a 100% hit rate when it's locked on, and it can also hit any target from any distance as it has no drop off point whatsoever. There is a game breaking glitch where you can actually re-obtain the monochrome camera on Bully Scholarship Edition, and I believe Anniversary Edition. If you beat Photography 4 before beating the mission Rudy the Red-Nosed Santa, for some unknown reason you will lose the digital camera, you will regain the monochrome one and it will be stuck with you forever. The firecrackers are made by an in-game brand called Little Devil Fireworks, who also make the Volcano 4000. Usually eggs do not do any damage when they're thrown at people, but if you equip them, walk up to somebody and then press the shove button, Jimmy will actually smash the egg on the person's chest, and it actually deals more damage than it really should. It doesn't work if they can be humiliated however. Unlike other weapons which result in NPCs attacking Jimmy for using any kind of weapon on them, if you throw marbles and hide in a bin, NPCs will become confused as to who's behind the little trip. You can use itching powder to fight people without obtaining a full red trouble meter. Originally Jimmy was going to create bottle rockets from his chemistry kit if he beat Chemistry 4, but this was likely changed because of the fact either A, bottle rockets don't spawn until chapter 3 at the earliest, and Chemistry 4 can be beaten even in chapter 1 if you're taking that long, or B, Jimmy gets bottle rockets in his room after beating Nerd Challenge anyway, making this one completely and utterly redundant. Deleted audio files from the Stronghold Assault mission imply that Bucky was the original creator of the Spud Gun weapon, not Ernest Jones.
I just got hit by a potato? I invented that!
The Spud Cannon is the only weapon in the entire game that is completely stationary. It cannot be taken anywhere else in the game. It remains solely on the observatory gates. The spray paint is the only weapon in the game that completely removes Jimmy's ability to block, but does also let Jimmy keep his original moveset. Once you obtain the rubber band ball, you can actually lose it forever. You can lose the rubber band ball by throwing the ball and then quickly saving the game before it returns to your inventory. If you manage to load up that save you did just, you will lose the band ball forever, it will never return to you. The only fix for this is to use a mod to force it back into Jimmy's inventory. It's heavily implied that Fatty Johnson makes his own stink bombs based off his body odour. The flashlight, despite being seen on authority figures at night time, was never ever intended to be used by the player. If equipped by modding or whatever, you cannot attack at all you can do is just look up and down with it. The sledgehammer can never be used on anybody, since once Jimmy picks it up from Norton, every single NPC despawns from the building and it's impossible for Jimmy to take it with him upon exit. If any NPC picks up a bat or a plank or anything like it, they will get super fast speed and never ever run out of breath. Yes, that includes characters like Algernon as well. The Volcano 4000 is one of the rarest weapons in the game. It cannot be made, it cannot be purchased, it can only be found in lockers. But once all the lockers in the game have been picked, the only way to obtain one is to wait for an NPC to be seen with it, which is quite rare. There's a bug on the Xbox 360 version of Bully, where the kick me sign can be used to make click members hurt members of their own click. In all other versions of the game, the kick just doesn't connect, but on the 360 version, they will just kick their mate in the ass or whatever. The pipe is only ever seen in the boss fights, being seen in both Johnny Vincent and Edgar Munson's battles. Despite bottles being able to be picked up by the player, if Jimmy gets one off a homeless person, the bottle seemingly goes unused in a way. Because there are no special animations, Jimmy can't throw it at anybody, and yeah, it just kind of gives Jimmy his original moveset, almost like as if he never picked this up at all. This is because this so-called weapon was actually supposed to be used in the Hattrick vs Galloway mission as a prop. It's actually unknown if the bottle was ever intended to be a proper weapon, or not, like it was used in the Warriors game. The broom is actually a very unfinished and slightly rare weapon. It's only obtainable if you find Mr. Lunch during the morning, give him a wedgie and it will drop it for Jimmy to use. And when it breaks, Jimmy can pick it up, but he'll either do an A pose when attacking somebody with some weird sound effects playing, or he'll try to hit somebody with a non-existent weapon, or a combination of both. The cafeteria tray can block incoming projectiles, but it's actually kind of rare to see. The cricket bat actually changes its appearance when it's on the wall versus when it's actually being held, possibly another beta oversight. The steel panel that's used in the Edgar Munson boss fight, for whatever reason, has a biohazard warning on both sides of it and Jimmy will always hold it upside down. as you can tell by the text. The fire extinguisher is one of the very few weapons shared between Buddy and the GTA series, the other weapon of course being the baseball bat. The only way Jimmy can obtain the flowers as weapons is to find any kissable boy in the game, give him the flowers and then grapple him right away. You'll enter a quick tug of war battle, win that and you get the flowers. But they deal very little damage and do break after a single hit, but also have unique animations and particle effects of being hit with them too. The garbage can lid actually blocks nearly every single attack in the game and shares the same physics as the frisbee. Originally, water balloons were going to be available from the start of the game, instead of being locked behind an errand. Plates will smash instantly if they're smacked upon somebody's head. Despite looking different, the Harrington House plaque that you can find in the Beach Club Safe House and Harrington House is just the exact same as the garbage can lid, just with a different model. If you get an apple and throw it at somebody in the cafeteria, you can start a food fight, and it's best to do that at lunchtime. You can actually eat bananas and get a small health boost, and then you can drop the peel and watch NPCs fall over it. You can use a textbook to hit people you normally couldn't hit without getting a full red trouble meter, but to do this you need to make sure your first punch misses, but the second punch doesn't. Despite firing actual poison, the poison gun doesn't harm anybody at all. It shares the exact same properties as a fire extinguisher with spud gun animations. The police and authority figures will throw bricks at Jimmy if he enters water or jumps on top of a car when he's wanted by them. The frisbee has the worst accuracy in the game. When thrown it will just go with the wind and steer far off course wherever you threw it. For some reason rats were removed from free mode entirely in Buddy Anniversary Edition, but if picked up and thrown at people anyway on scholarship, the original or whatever, you'll get a very unique gross out reaction from nearby NPCs.
Making out with that nerd?
Hi, remember me? Stick it in your hello, fellow student.
Much like the beer bottle, picking up a pom-pom from the cheerleaders doesn't do anything at all. In fact, the cheerleaders will have 2 of them, but if you manage to make them drop it somehow, they'll only drop 1. The other pom-pom goes completely missing. Gary's SS whip, which he has for his Halloween costume, is actually an unbreakable weapon. Unlike most other weapons of its type, it will just never ever break no matter how much you use it. It also only appears during this mission and there is no way to keep it, or respawn it of course without modding. If Jimmy equips an umbrella and then presses the fire button, Jimmy will open the umbrella as if it was raining. Repressing the fire button, he'll just refold the umbrella. Toilet paper only appears in 2 errands and the only way to keep it and to use it is to fail the errand. If you pick up a vase and throw it at somebody's back, they'll fall but in a really slow motion for some really odd, unexplained reason. Harrington House is completely chock full of these very tiny plant pots that Jimmy can pick up and throw around. They function near identically to the vases, except Jimmy uses the default animations when holding them, and they don't knock anybody over. And for some reason they also bug out and sort of take over his fist. Yeah, I don't know what that's all about. If you pick up the basketball and go to the hoops at the jocks area, Jimmy will try to throw it into the hoop. If you play the baseball minigame at the carnival, where you have to hit some targets, you can actually hit the carny, and he'll kick you out if you do hit him too many times. In Chapter 3, if you head over to a normally grassy area, you can pick up a snowball. You can then start a full-on snowball fight, and bonus fact about this one is snowball fights were going to be a minigame for that chapter only, but they were removed. I guess you could consider this a bit of a leftover of that. For some weird reason, Rockstar made it so Jimmy never falls off his skateboard unless he's, for some reason, riding upstairs. However, there is a way you can make Jimmy fall off his skateboard normally, and that's by picking up some really insane speed and then hitting a wall. It can be a little bit difficult to do, but it's the only way to make Jimmy fall off his skateboard when he hits the wall. Other times he'll just sort of bounce right back off it normally. If you pick up an American football and then aim it at somebody that Jimmy's on good terms with, they'll often do an animation. If you throw it to them, they'll catch the ball, and then they'll try to throw it back to you. Despite Buddy being set in the United States, there are more minigames involving the football, yes it's called football, not soccer, than there are based off sports that are actually more popular in the States, like baseball, basketball, or what you Yanks call football. So, on to the cut weapons now, because you didn't think I'd be excluding the cut weapons because I did say every weapon in the game. That includes the cut ones, so let's get on with it. So, the detonator is only seen in the Ernest Jones boss fight, and it appears this might have been something similar to the satchel charge seen in Grand Theft Auto. The Super Spud Gun can be modded back into the game, but if it does, it shares the exact same properties as a regular Spud Gun. In fact, if you mod it and have both of these, they'll share the same ammo, for whatever reason. The dodgeball was going to appear in free mode, but was ultimately scrapped for unknown reasons. Despite being used for the shooting gallery minigame of the carnival, the BB gun was going to be usable by Jimmy in free mode at one point, but was scrapped, likely because of its resemblance to an actual rifle, which probably would have garnered a bit more controversy from Buddy than it really should have. but animations for it still do exist in the game files. Originally, Pinky was going to have a wand that she was going to use as an accessory to her princess outfit for Halloween. Now, if you actually mod this weapon back in, it has no textures, but if you manage to attack somebody with this weapon, it kind of blinds people as if they got sprayed in the face with a spray can. So during Halloween as well, the jock Casey Harris actually goes as a devil, and originally he was going to carry a devil fork. And this was removed, but if modded back in, it has a lunging, stabbing like animation. The Nerd Battle Wagon was going to be Buddy's version of the tank scene in Grand Theft Auto, but this was removed due to the PS2 limitations that were really struggling to handle it. In fact, the removal of this Nerd Battle Wagon was replaced by the Spud Cannon instead. Authority figures, including police and prefects, were all going to carry batons. And finally, the voice changer only exists in the game files as a HUD icon. There are no animations or models for it that exist. And that is pretty much one fact about every single weapon in Bully. I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do one fact on everything next, but yeah, I'll find something probably. So yeah, thank you for watching this video and have a great day.